smirking. After the first video, you're probably all wondering how we've got on, where the bike's at, and what sort of power it's making. Obviously, I did say that it's going to Andy. The bike's now back from 2T Engineering. Andy's done a great job, so we'll talk you through the results and let you know what's going on. So I just want to talk you through the power graphs we've got from the dyno, let you know why we did that run, and what the information we gathered, and you know, where we're going, what we're thinking with it. So here we've got graph number 1. Now graph number 1 was actually done with the 5ke Jolly Motos on the 4TW bike. I did this first because I fitted the Jolly Motos, so I knew that I could run them on the dyno, and then we did the base run with them on it. As you can see, the dyno graph is quite good, except for it gets to 12,000 and then it hits a wall. Graph number 2 is actually the 40W as we run it with the 250 Grand Prix. So that was the setup, my base setup that we run all year. And you can see the graph's really good. It revs on, does everything you want. Graph number 3 is the overlay of the Jolly Motos and the 4TW pipes. This was just to see what difference the pipes actually made, and if it was worth running one set over the other set. As you can see, the graphs run quite close together. The only main difference is, like I said, at 12,000 RPM, it seems to hit a wall with the Jolly pipes on and died off quite quickly. So graph number 4 was done with the new motor in, but I put the 4TW pipes on just because they was in obviously the kit where I stripped down the engine. So we did the first run with the 4TW pipes on. As you can see, there's a massive flat spot from about 8 grand to about 9, and then the bike comes on song and sings well. Graph number 5 is with the Jolly Moto pipes on. I tried these pipes just to hope that that did something for the flat spot. It didn't, so there was something wrong with the ignition or the power valve settings, which made that flat spot from 8 to 9,000 RPM, killed the power, and then it come on song really fast. Due to that big flat spot, that's when I stopped my testing and decided that it was better off to get the bike straight to Andy Bull. Andy Bull can then go through all the ignition, make sure that we wasn't harming the engine in any way. Graph number 6 is the 54 motor laid over the 40W setup that we run. So the best result from my dyno on the 40W setup. This actually shows that we've got an improvement in power, 1 brake horsepower, but you know, every brake horsepower matters. And that's even with a massive flat spot. So, you know, this left us in a good position, and was very hopeful for the results we were going to get from this engine being an improvement over the 40W. Obviously from this graph as well, you can see that the power kind of started earlier. So the rev range was a bit lower where it was making power. So this made me think that obviously with the longer stroke, it was going to move the power further down the rev range. After this, obviously the bike went to Andy. Andy done a lot of work for me. He went through absolutely everything. He done all the leak testing on the engine to make sure, you know, I'd done a good job. Made sure I haven't missed anything. He did find that I'd missed the tiny little O-rings that go around the outside of the power valves. I couldn't find any information that said about them until Andy said about it, and then I found them. It's like, all right, yeah, sound. So that was one thing I missed. Andy picked up on, and he went through everything. He tested everything he could. Got it so he was happy to run the bike. And then when he got the bike on the dyno, he must have done about 1 million runs or something. Yeah, he tested carburetor settings. He went through ignitions, power valve settings. He tried the different pipes. He even changed carburetor settings. What he did find is I had to modify one of the air boxes to get the 5k barrels on there. So part of the barrel that the power valve mechanism bolts to, I think, sticks out a bit further than 40W. So I had to modify one of the air boxes. So Andy remodified that to seal it off better, and he found that it actually changed the jetting on that one carburetor. We seem to run a bigger jet in the right hand side carburetor. I think that's right. Andy will probably tell me it's wrong, but yeah, I think we run it in the right hand side carburetor, a bigger jet, and that actually reduced the gap between the two jets from the carburetors, so that done well. And he changed the seal on the airbox, so he found that the actual airbox seal, that made a difference as well in the how rich or lean that side run. So there's some things to bear in mind if you're working on your own bikes, and you're running airboxes on the TZ. So yeah, the actual air leaks from the airboxes, so when it's drawing air in not from the scoop, makes actually a difference to how rich or lean it runs. So something to bear in mind for you. You're all wondering, how did Andy get on with it? So this is Andy's dyno graft. I'll put it up here. And as you can see, we've actually made an improvement. One of the things to note is that the actual, when I done the testing, I noticed that the power started earlier and it was at lower RPM. But where we got to with Andy, to get the best power, it actually follows the same line on the graft. It smoothed out the mid-range dip that we got from the 40W. So Andy seems to think this is due to the barrel power valves compared to the slide power valves. And we've made quite a good chunk at the top of the graft as well. So we made a total figure on Andy's dyno of 77 brake horsepower. Our best previous to this was 74.5. So the new motor actually makes 2.5 brake horsepower more. Massive numbers, I know. Everyone's like, "Woo, yeah, 2.5." But to be fair, on something that makes less than 100 brake horsepower, obviously every brake horsepower is, considered percentage. So 2.5 brake horsepower is actually quite a decent chunk on something like this. And it's actually nice to see that, what we've done has made an improvement. So I'm really happy about that. So where did we end up? So believe it or not, we actually ended up on the 40W pipes. So the Tony Green 40W pipes that I was running all the season that we run, 2024, actually made the better power. The 5K jollies just they were very similar, but not quite as good on the over rev, I believe. So yeah, we ended up on the 40W pipes, pretty much the same settings. So where to next? So speaking with Andy, he said that, the most improvement you can find on one of these bikes, on a two-stroke Grand Prix bike, is always in the pipes. He seems to think that the engine is working really well. He thinks there's more power to be had from this actual engine setup, so he's pointing me in the direction of exhaust pipes. Now I'm quite lucky that I get on really well with Dan at Gecko Motorcycles, and Dan has agreed to loan me some pipes to test, so we can see what pipes are going to actually work with this. I have got the bike booked in with Tony Green in about March time, he says, for a set of 5K pipes to fit a 40W, because we was expecting it to want 5K pipes to work with the cylinders, but obviously, like I say, dyno testing has showed that the 40W pipes are working best. So we've got some more pipes to test, and we're going to try and get as much testing as we can get done before the start of the season, so that we can figure out what pipes are actually going to work best on this bike. Then when we got the best pipes we can find, we can measure them, and we give them measurements to Tony Green, and hopefully he can make us something that's going to work. What we don't want to do is obviously order pipes, spend a lot of money, and we're not making results. So we're going to try and get some pipe testing done as soon as we can, and then yeah, I think it's clean it up and get it on a track and see how it performs on track. But yeah, really happy with where we got to so far. The bike's working really well, and yeah, the results, like I say, it might not be a massive improvement, but we've made an improvement over a standard bike by modifying it, so that's always a bonus. So yeah, onwards and upwards, let's see what we can do. So guys, the bike's back from Andy Bull. He's done an amazing job, bike's flying. So let's get it on our dyno and get a base run and see where we're at. And then, as you can see, we've got a selection of exhausts to try and see if we can find something that works with this bike. So guys, if you got this far, you're probably wondering how we got on. So I was lucky enough to secure a set of 03 stock pipes, 02 kit pipes and 04 kit pipes for a 5KE. Given the Jolly Moto pipes I've already got and the 4TW Tony Green pipes, that gives us quite a lot of options to try on the dyno. Now one thing I did find, and this might not be the same for everyone, but for me, on this engine configuration with a 5KE crank and cylinders on the 4TW engine, I found that the 5KE stock pipes, the Jolly Moto pipes and the 4TW Tony Green pipes all work the same. They give the same power graft, and everything looked the same in the way that they run and how they made performance and everything. The 5KE pipes died off slightly before the 4TW, but it's marginal and not worth looking into. What we did find was the O2 kit pipes gave a good back boost in power, but they kind of died off at a funny angle. But the O4 kit pipes, these made a really good boost in power, and the over rev on them was really good. We've given probably a 4 brake horsepower gain in the over rev from 12 to 13. So what's next? Well, the next thing to do is to get the bike all cleaned up, prepped and ready for Brands Hatch on the 20th to the 22nd of March. We'll be racing there with NG Racing in the ACU 250 British Championship. And to get the dimensions off the 5KE 04 kit pipes, get them sent to Tony Green, and when he gets a chance to make me a set of pipes, then hopefully we can carry on testing and see if we can get these pipes to work. So why can't we run the 5KE pipes on the 4TW? Well, the straight answer is the angle of the pipes is slightly different. They hang about 2 to 3 inches lower than they do on the 5KE on the 4TW. So basically, if we did try and run them, then we'd have clearance issues with ground clearance, and the fairing probably wouldn't fit very well. So to fit the pipes correctly, they need adjusting, and as I don't own the pipes, then we can't run them. So yeah, so our best option for now is the 4TW Tony Green pipes. The bike's been set up for them, and I look forward to getting a set of 04 kit pipes, specification pipes made that will fit the 4TW. So everyone that's watched, thank you very much. Like I say, the next thing I think is going to be some race action. So we'll be showing you preparation for the event, and everything that goes on during the event, and yeah, keep you in the loop of how the bike performs on track, what's going on. We might try and get a sneaky test in beforehand. If not, we'll be testing on the Friday before the race meeting. And hope everything's fine. So yeah, thanks for following us. Hopefully you've subscribed, give the video a like, and yeah, I can keep making content and showing you how we progress with this 54 4TW.